the blog today. So, today we're going to talk about something that I'm seeing out there that I want to draw your attention to that is of particular interest of those that are in the medical community. The UK National Security Center, along with the Department of Homeland Security's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, or CISA, put out a joint advisory of regards to threat actors targeting pharma companies, medical research organizations, as well as universities that are dealing with COVID-19. And what you're seeing out there, what is called when it's nation state. So usually, you have cyber criminals, and then you have what's called cyber espionage. And espionage is usually perpetrated by threat actors that are nation state actors, and they call those actors, or that one of the terms that they use are APT, or advanced persistent threat. And basically what they do is they try to get into your organization to learn information, to do reconnaissance, to understand how your organization gets information and tries to dig into the different people to get sensitive data. They're trying to get into these organizations that are dealing with COVID-19 for multiple reasons, but it really just boils down to information. So they're using unpatched vulnerabilities and Citrix. There's a Citrix vulnerability out there, as well as vulnerabilities in VPN technologies, because we're all sheltering in place or working from home, or at least a lot of us are. Here in Texas, that's a different story, but we won't go there. The VPN technology, Post Secure, Fortinet, Palo Alto, has been known to be vulnerable, and we've talked about those in recent blog posts. They're attacking that. They're using brute force, with which you can easily fight brute force attacks by essentially not allowing multiple tries. If you get three tries and you fail three times, just stop it. So a brute force attack is what that is they're trying through password spraying. Password spraying gets, you use commonly used passwords to try to, brute force attack your way into a certain individual's user ID and password, right? And so if you limit the amount of tries someone gets before they're locked out of their account, that kind of thwarts that. And because it's like, you're not going to keep hitting my my username and password with fake passwords without something happening anyway. But they're using that, and they talked about that. Um and and then they're one of the other things they're doing, they're attacking supply chain. So again, if you're one of these universities or one of these pharma companies, your supply chain is now targeted, because especially one of these universities or organizations that's doing COVID-19 research, your supply chain is now targeted, right? So how are you handling, or how are you educating, or how are you trying to deal with that issue, with when or if you didn't know, now that you're now under attack by these APT actors. And so the only reason, so this cyber espionage is what it's called, the only reason that they're trying to get in is to steal information. Different from cyber criminals that are trying to steal money. Cyber espionage is ultimately designed to gather information, to either intellectual property information, so they can either compete with you, or they could obtain some information that allows them, from a marketplace perspective, to be able to profit off of whatever that is. But especially with pharma companies, you also have that internal threat type of scenario, right? Pharma companies that have IP, that have these capability of producing these drugs or whatever, being able to develop a generic or whatever. So all of that to be said, if you are, or your organization is doing something for COVID-19, you have to have your eye on a lot of different things right now. First of all, take patching, patching. None of this is new. Brute force attacks should not be happening on the network. You have a lockout. There has to be some functional lockout. After they get, two or three tries, lock them out. Especially if you're seeing it coming fast from a particular IP address. And I don't want to get into the geeking out on that, on how the cyber defenders could actually prevent brute force attacks. But one of the easier ways is lockout, and then you just have to deal with the employees being mad that they have to call the help desk to reset their password or lock out for a certain period of time. It really is one of those things that I can say I'm really surprised that I'm still seeing that password spraying or brute force is still being utilized and still being successful. And then supply chain. Make sure your vendors know what's going on out there, because now your vendors employees are working from home, and so third, fourth, fifth, sixth parties, you have to ensure that your supply chain, especially if they're on the network. I mean, honestly, network segmentation, your third party should be coming on a different network, shouldn't have access to the internal network. But we all know that that doesn't necessarily exist at every organization. You give them access and they become a user, and so now there are employees that are working from home that could be using technology that's vulnerable, are now just another hole in your network. So pharma, if you're doing anything with COVID-19, cyber defenders, keep your eye out there, because there are some things going on that you should be able to pay attention to now. Okay. All right. Stay tuned for our random thought. Talk soon. Are you a VIP? More importantly, are you a cybersecurity law firm of Texas VIP? What's VIP, you may ask? VIP stands for Virtual Information Protection. For those organizations that may not need a full time resource to handle their cybersecurity and privacy needs, they can hire the Cybersecurity Law Firm of Texas on an outsourced basis to handle those needs. If you want to learn more, please click the link below. So, our random thought for today. So, I found this interesting article, and it actually has to deal with the UK's National Cybersecurity Center. They announced that they've changed the way it talks about good and bad in cybersecurity. So, if you're in the industry, you're familiar with the term whitelisting and blacklisting, right? With whitelisting meaning good, you let it through, and blacklisting meaning bad, that you don't let it through. And they received a customer actually called to ask them, would they consider making that particular change, because it reinforces stereotypical things about what's good and what's bad. Um, so they decided, yeah, sure, we're going to change it. So um, it was described by the director of the UK National Cybersecurity Center, sorry, as a duh moment, because it was just like, oh wow, never did think about it. And there are terms that one never really thinks about until it's brought to their attention. So they've changed the name, which is it. What I'm sorry, they changed the way they're going to describe whitelist and blacklist, and changed it to the allow list and deny list, which is ultimately what it really is. And they even went as far as to say, if you're have a comment to this blog post that is just saying this is political correctness or gone awry or whatever, then don't even bother talking to us, because we're going to do it anyway, which is really good. I mean, I think that cybersecurity itself has its challenges when attracting and maintaining minority talent, which is why I have my nonprofit. Attracting and actually maintaining and supporting minority talent is something that the industry has a huge problem with. And essentially, the blacklist and whitelist could very well be a tip, maybe a small, but I don't know how many. Okay, I never really thought about it from that perspective, because as a minority female, there's a lot of things in this world that black means bad and white means good, and we're not even going to get into that discussion. But all I want to say is that I commend them for making the change, because as you now change and you start to talk about it in a different way, it becomes a little bit more inclusive, for those that have sensitivity to those types of things, I think it was a good thing. So, I know you can argue with me. I don't have that many followers, so maybe I'll get away with, making my opinions known. But again, it was something that I really think was give kudos to those folks over in the UK, as always. All right, thanks a lot. Have a great day. Bye bye. Guys, thanks again for listening to the Breach Whisperer blog, sponsored by the cybersecurity law firm of Texas. Don't forget to like this post and subscribe to our channel so you can get updates of when we post new things on our channel. In addition, spread the word for me, right? Let's get out there and tell a friend, and so they can all become paranoid cybersecurity and privacy people. Don't forget, if you would like to connect with me on socials, you can connect with me on Twitter at Mary N. Cheney. Use my middle initial always. For my nonprofit, Minorities in Cybersecurity, that is at Mike Leadership, and Instagram and Facebook at MN Cheney Law. And you can find me on LinkedIn just by searching for my name. So if you're interested, connect with me. Thanks again. And just remember, awareness equals knowledge.